Well, satellite images released on Saturday appeared to show an oil slick spreading off the coast of Iran's Kharg Island. The images, reported by the Reuters news agency, indicated a suspected spill that covered dozens of square kilometres of sea. The cause of the possible spill and the point of origin are unknown. Now, Kharg Island is crucial for Iran's oil exports and has the country's largest oil terminal, along with pipelines and storage tanks. Well, for more on this, we're joined now by Chuk Okereke, who is a professor of global governance and public policy at the University of Bristol. He joins us now from London. Thank you so much for being with us, Professor. First of all, what more do you know about this Kharg Island oil spill? How extensive is it? And is there potential for worse to come, given that this is in the middle of an ongoing conflict zone?
Well, thank you very much. We don't know much more than the Reuters agency has reported. But what is important is that any environmental incident there in Kharg Island, given its strategic location and the fact that it handles an overwhelming majority of Iranian oil export, will immediately cascade to an environmental and ecological and even geopolitical disaster. And then even if the spill turns out to be relatively limited, it still highlights how fragile energy infrastructure in the Persian Gulf has become amid escalating military tension. And bear in mind that the Persian Gulf is an ecologically sensitive and semi-closed body of water, which means that oil pollution can persist much longer than in the open oceans. So marine diversity, fisheries, coral ecosystem, mangroves, and all of these things will be at risk, even if the spill is limitedly, is minor limited.
If you can just expand on that, obviously in a wartime situation like this one, what ecosystems or marine species in particular are most vulnerable to that longer-term environmental damage?
Yes, because of the nature of the water body, its sensitivity, but also the fact that it's not very far from the coastal of other Gulf neighbors. All of the marine biological diversity, the coral ecosystems, mangrove, even coastal livelihoods and fisheries, of course, will be all at risk of being significantly affected. And of course, it also depends on the extent of the spill, but also the wind speed, which then determines the extent to which the spill will be moved down south to the Gulf neighboring states.
You touched on this, but if you can expand a little bit, if attacks on ships or infrastructure continue and we see a worse environmental disaster, what would a major spill or industrial accident actually mean for Gulf communities, especially when it comes to desalination plants as well as regional food security?
Yeah, that's a very good point. Even a localized spill can quickly become a regional issue, requiring cross-border monitoring and cooperation. And it does show that military tension can quickly become an environmental tension, and environmental tension does not respect any borders. So in conflict situation, information also becomes highly politicized. Satellite imagery strongly suggests that the presence of a slick, but Iran is saying that they haven't detected any leakage. The thing that has to happen now, in my view, is a quick verification, possibly by an international organization, to determine whether there's such as a leakage, the extent of it, and then maybe a cleaning operation. But more broadly speaking, there is a need to de-escalate the tension in that region because, as I already indicated, with the continuing military tension, such an environmental issue can quickly become a much more broader geopolitical and ecological disaster.
Yeah, indeed, which would obviously need everyone to respond accordingly. Obviously, the focus has been on the geopolitical and economic impact of the conflict. Does that mean that we've been underestimating the environmental consequences here?
Very good question. History after history shows that wherever there is a geopolitical tension or military action, whether it's in the Gaza, Ukraine, in Africa, but also in this case, it quickly often turns into also an environmental disaster. And one of the key lessons of this is the intimate relationship between environmental, ecological disaster and geopolitics or military tension. And it's important that we bear this in mind, because often the emphasis is on oil price, on economic and geopolitics, and maybe rightly so. But we are now seeing that there is such a strong relationship between energy infrastructure in the Persian Gulf and ecological and environmental issues.
Thanks so much, Professor. Fantastic to talk to you. Chuk Okereke, Professor of Global Governance and Public Policy at the University of Bristol. Thanks so much for joining us.